Hey guys, since the scam alerts have been so helpful to you, I've decided to start doing them more often. I've been making note of any potentially scammy posts that I'm seeing anywhere and just kind of setting them aside to investigate further. And if they seem like they definitely are a scam, I'm posting them on here. I was going to make a video of myself scrolling through the different features, but it's already been removed. So I'm kind of glad that I saved these screenshots initially because I was going to post some static images as well for people who didn't want to watch the video. But let's go through this one because it's quite amusing how bad it is. So they didn't even, again, one of the main red flags I'm seeing, especially on LinkedIn, is the person doesn't use LinkedIn features as they're designed to be used. They're not sending people messages or connection requests. A lot of times they're just sending them comments or reposting their posts and then commenting on them or putting in a caption. And I think part of this is because they think that they'll be more heavily regulated by LinkedIn by sending these requests. Maybe there's a limit to how many requests they can send, and they want to maximize the amount of scam messages they can send out at a given time. So this one is actually not even one of my own posts. I commented on someone else's post, and apparently it got enough impressions and likes that this person saw it. I'm currently listed as open to work, which means that I'm pretty visible to these scammers, which actually has a benefit. I'm listed as open to work because I have an opening for clientele right now, but it actually really works out because I'm seeing these scam posts sent directly to me. So that's really beneficial for you guys. But here we are. He's commented directly on my comment, not relating to anything I said, just kind of launching into his pitch. So that's already a huge red flag. But let's go into more details about why this is suspicious. I've circled some of the things that I think really stand out, but aside from the fact that this is very poorly written and the language is awful, and they use that standard, I swear it's like a handbook they have, the Scammer's Handbook, and this is how they want to word everything. And they'll a lot of times start with something about, I saw your profile or I came across your profile and I was very impressed by your qualifications. Or they'll say, I'm reaching out because your qualifications stood out. This person has gone with a second option. But the funny thing is they're not even claiming to be recruiting for the company that they're claiming to work for on their profile. They're just saying their current ongoing hiring process before this month ends at Pinnacle Talent and several top employers. And then they list a bunch of more reliable companies and real companies that they can use as kind of a way to gain your trust. And it's funny because they're already starting to establish this sense of urgency by saying before this month ends. So they're trying to make you make an impulsive, emotional decision out of desperation or urgency without really thinking about why this is suspicious. And you can see that again at the bottom, the last box that I circled, let's move fast, you could be a strong fit. So they're really trying to get you to act fast without thinking too hard about what they're saying or how they're saying it. But then another part that's really obvious to me as a scam is the contact information. He's not trying to get you to contact him, probably because he doesn't want to be associated with this scam if it goes forward. So they're giving some other email address, and it's just a standard Gmail address, which is already suspicious. Most professionals will take the time to set up an actual domain email address, especially someone, which as you'll see in their little explanation, is someone with 30 years of recruiting experience. If they really have that amount of experience, they'll know that operating under a Gmail email address is not so great. And it doesn't cost a lot to set up a domain and email address. And yes, anyone can do it. It's not a guarantee that the person is not a scammer. But if you think about it, like paying for a domain, prices for domains vary based on demand, but usually it's a yearly cost. And then a lot of people use something like Google Workspace where they can set up an email account that's linked directly to that domain that they have purchased. And that in itself, at the time that this video was made, costs about $8 a month to set that up. So that's $8 plus whatever the cost of the domain is per month. They don't want to spend that. It doesn't matter how much it is. They're not going to spend all that because A, if they get found out, they're going to have to change all that anyway. And B, you're not worth it to them. They just want to get you scammed, get your money, get your information, whatever they're trying to get from you, and move on. So that's already a really big red flag. Then they repeat themselves toward the bottom and say it again. And they say, send your resume or reach out to her directly, which I think they don't even understand what that means, because sending your resume is the same thing as reaching out to them directly. You're reaching out to them directly to send them your resume. So that makes no sense. And then the part at the bottom is even worse. It just looks like a big keyword dump where it says reach out directly for current job openings, job placement assistance service. Like they just typed it into Google search or something. But this is really bad already. But let's just for thoroughness, let's take a look at the person's profile. Already it's suspicious because it's brand new. There's nothing wrong with being brand new, but most people don't start reaching out to people until they've finished their profile, because they understand that it's about presentation. It's about making a good impression. Especially when you're working in the recruiting field, you want to make sure that people know that you're serious about them and that you value them enough to present with your best foot forward. This person just joined. They've just updated contact information and a profile photo, and then they just left it alone because they're probably aware that they're going to be removed right away, which was true. And you can see here, they didn't even bother putting in a cover photo. LinkedIn has a whole selection of pre-made cover photos. If they really wanted, they could use one of those, but they didn't even bother. They put in the picture so that it would show up looking professional when they made comments. That's what they were worried about. And the picture itself, probably AI or pulled off of some other website. It looks like kind of a standard professional headshot. I can't look at it closely enough to see if it's been modified with AI or created with AI. Usually if you can look close enough, you can kind of see like, ooh, that's too perfect, or that looks weird. It's really hard to say, but a lot of these fake recruiters I've noticed find these headshots with these plain blue backgrounds. It's like the same, they all look the same. It's really weird. So that's already weird. The next part I noticed is the job title. They're listing themselves as a senior portfolio manager. And it's like they don't even understand what that means, because that has nothing to do with recruiting. That's about managing assets for like a financial company. So they listed a financial company. That kind of makes sense. They've chosen New York as their location. That makes sense because that's a lot of those companies are located there. They've tried a little bit. But then at the bottom, they're like trying really hard to like give the person information they didn't even ask for, where it's like, I'm new to LinkedIn and this is how I got here, blah, 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 blah. And now they're trying to get them to follow them. But look, they posted it. So they basically took Angela W.'s post looking for work, and they just reposted it with this caption, which is weird. It's weird. So no, that does not look good. And that's really the thing about these things. You're going to see a lot of minimal effort, a lot of things that look suspicious, maybe not a big deal alone, but altogether, it spells out scammer, scammer, scammer. And usually what they're trying to do is get either your information so they can sell it or take advantage of it in some way. Like maybe they want your banking information so they can start pulling money out of your account. They want you to start paying for things. And while nothing is suspicious about that, in paying for things is not necessarily a scam, a lot of recruiters do charge money for their services, and part of it is sometimes for legal reasons, like they don't want to accidentally be qualified as an employer, so they'll charge a modest amount to, just make sure it's clear that they're serving these people, they're not hiring these people. But in this case, I don't know what he's going to be asking people for, but it already looks so suspicious that I wouldn't even want to find out. Hopefully this helps. Hopefully there'll be more of these in the future that I can help you out with, although it would be great to think that we'll never see one of these again. That's just not the case. For as long as there's internet, there will be scammers on the internet. And I'm going to do the best I can in terms of freelance workers to help guide you through some of these things. A lot of times these people target not just standard employees, but freelance workers as well. And because freelance workers don't have the kind of protections that employees do, it can make it even worse in terms of consequences. So let's move forward together. I've got your back. If you have any scams or potential scams you want me to check out, just send them to me.